question toward the back of the room.
Yeah.
Something you mentioned brought me back to something very mundane, back to the fundamentals. As a former coach, fundamentals are very important. You mentioned the importance of the Constitution. The Constitution, by our last president, was considered an obsolete document. He mentioned that more than on one occasion. Executive orders have been abused by many presidents. They were meant to be used within the agencies that answer to the president, have extended beyond that. And then you have the judicial branch that has taken over the executive, the congressional, and its own branch. The judiciary is out of control. At this point, how can we look at this in a way that we can start to get back to the fundamentals?
Well, it's a very good question, you see, because in some ways, Donald Trump was created by Barack Obama. And by that I mean, when Donald Trump has been very successful with just one big signature tax package, but what has jump-started this economy is a series of executive orders. I don't know the constitutionality of each one, but what he's done is he's deregulated, he's opened up ANWR, he's had an executive order on Keystone, he's muzzled the EPA, and he's using the executive branch in lieu of the legislative branch, and he's been thwarted by the courts, so he's trying to get, conservative constitutional judges, but it depends on, I guess he would say, they made the rules and I'm using them now against them, but I don't know to what degree Trump has violated any executive order that I know of. One of the ironies that we're in this political system, we're saying, well, Donald Trump is saying the fake news, he's heard them, but he hasn't monitored the Associated Press journalist. He hasn't monitored the emails of a Fox reporter. He hasn't weaponized the IRS that go after people. He hasn't jailed a video maker. He hasn't gone into a FISA court and said, I'm not going to give you the complete story about this dossier. So his rhetoric is alarming, but when you actually look at it, who was alarming was a mellifluous Obama, because he took the CIA, the DOJ, the FBI. He took all of these deep state permanent bureaucracies, and he really tried to affect the outcome of the 2016 election with John Brennan and Clapper and Comey and McCabe, and he monitored people, and he did a lot of very radical things. He said he couldn't be a king 21 times or to the effect of that, and then he went around and did DACA and the Dreamer Act and pretty much destroyed federal immigration law. And then he said, he allowed these cities to say, and I live in one that's a sanctuary city. If Hillsdale tomorrow says, I'm a sanctuary city, anybody in Hillsdale Township does not have to follow federal gun registration, just go and buy a gun. Nobody's going to do it. We're a sanctuary city. Or you know what? If you see a 3-spotted toad that's on the endangered, shoot the thing in the head. This is a sanctuary city. You can imagine what California would say. But it's all one way. They can nullify, and you can see where it goes. It goes back to the nullification crisis of 1826 in South Carolina in the 1850s. So we've just coming off a very radical president that, for some reason, his supporters now are shocked that Donald Trump, he hasn't done what Obama did, but he sounds radical. But I don't pay much attention. I don't think we should.